Gayatri Mahamantra. With your back straight, both hands on your laps, left beneath the right, contemplative. Om Bhura Bhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Invocation of the Divine Master Adiguru Muni Vedvyas. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Deva Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah, Akhand Mandalakaram, Vyaptam Yena Characharam, Tatpadam Darshitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah, Om Shri Guruve Namah, व्यास रूपेण आवाहयामि स्थापयामि ध्यायामि पूजयामि ततो नमस्कारम करोमि. श्रीमद् भगवद गीता अक्षर ब्रह्म योग verse number shlok number 9. Before I come down to the slide that contains the shlok, let me first of all emphasize upon the primary rider of this shlok. There is a word, is very specific word in this particular verse, which is spelled as Anu Smaret. Anu Smaret. That particular word steers the essence of this entire shloka. Unless we do justice to the understanding of this word Anu Smaret, the justice shall not be done to the understanding of the entire verse. So it is therefore mandatory to spend little time upon this so that we can do justice and the essence of this particular shloka permeates into our own existence. Here it has to go and deeply seat within us. Seat. I'm using seat in the form of sit, because I'm giving the seat a new dimension over here. Now, the word anusmrit means anu with smrit, something to remember. But what to remember? Something that you already know has not been realized so far. There are many facts in our life about which we are quite aware, and not aware today itself, but we have been aware about those facts since decades, but yet they are not our realized facts. We know them. We very well know them. We can say, yes, I am aware about this. But have you ever realized it? No, I have not realized it. For example, in the Hindi lesson, I brought this fact at a later stage, but in English, I probably should, this understanding should precede before any other understanding. For example, we all know that there is something called as aura reading, which is now even can be deciphered and interpreted through machines, as we are given to understand. There are cameras that can measure, take photographs of aura of a human. Likewise, aura reading, like a skill, is developed in the seekers, like a skill. Although it is not a skill, but yet the learning of it, how to gain proficiency into it, appears to be like a skill. What is done is, through the help of a flower, the seeker, the student, is asked to gaze at the flower and look beyond the appearance of the flower while looking at the flower, and try to observe something which is not ordinarily apparent by a mere glance, something which is falling as an emanation of the flower. Initially, when you listen to all these words, they appear to be ridiculed. You really want to brush them aside. But all those who are true seekers of aura reading, and I am not conveying you something, I am not an aura reader by any chance, But yes, I know the fact and I have practiced it upon the flower at least. To that extent, I am aware, very well aware. So this is not a fact which is merely read. This is something which has gone into me as an experience as well. Ordinarily speaking, all these words carry no meaning, appears to be weird, totally weird, as if someone is trying to convey something which does not exist and trying to cook something just to impress or cast some kind of an impression. Whereas the fact is that our eyes, at times when we are engaged into conversation and we go for our own inner contemplation right in the middle of our own friends or our own colleagues, at time with wide eyes open, we get lost elsewhere within our own self. Eyes are open. The functional part of the eyes in external aspects is working absolutely fine. Yet, the ability to sight has been withdrawn from these mortal eyes. That's not doing its job. It's engaged somewhere within, and then someone shall shake us, call us back, and say, "Where are you? Where are you lost?" And you come out with a jerk. You come out. Oh, yes. No. I'm here. I'm here. No. You were elsewhere. Where were you? I started thinking about that. Come on, leave it now. So, what does it mean? If you analyze the entire thing, we are doing justice to the word anusmret. Unless the justice to the primary rider of the shloka is done, other words will appear to be something which we keep hearing commonly, will not carry any special meaning to that. So the rider has to be given justice. It must behold tons of gravity, only then other aspects of the verse, the shloka, will get a meaningful conclusion, a meaningful establishment into us. It will truly permeate into us. We are looking through the eyes, with the eyes wide open, still the sight is withdrawn. They're working, eyes are perfect, no problem, nothing, absolutely fine. Yet, one who is at the steering wheel that initiates and triggers the command to sight that, to sight that, to sight that. That commander has withdrawn the ability to sight and brought the ability to sight in an interiorized manner. So the eyes are still watching, but they're watching now something within, not without. Even while wide eyes open, they are watching within, not without. All pictorial formations, all videos are being watched even while wide eyes open. So this means that the eyes can acquire a different dimension despite of the fact that they are open. Same goes for aura reading. Apparently, what we see with a common glance appears to be something that we keep observing commonly. A flower is a flower. Nothing added to it. Could be the size of the flower, could be the fragrance of the flower to that extent. And that is well known to us. Which flower smells most of them? Say, for example, rose. We very well know how rose smells, what is the fragrance of it, and we know how it looks like, size apart. Now, this is very well known to our eyes, and with a simple glass, we may appreciate the flower. Yes, oh, good. Gives a good feeling. Yeah, it's good. And we move onward. But for the aura reading, for the purpose of aura reading, we stay with the flower. What do? We stay with the flower. We merely do not appreciate its beauty, its appearance, its fragrance. No. We want to go beyond. Through what? Through the same glance. Through the same glance, we want to pierce the veil of appreciation and go into the realms of a different dimension of its own existence. Same eyes, same flower, but the commander at the back wants to pierce the veil of the appearance and go beyond into a different dimension. What is the different dimension? The aura emanating out of the flower. The same petals, they're oozing out a different kind of light out of them, which is not generally available to the eyes. You're not able to see any kind of uh, light emanating, light in the sense the aura. Don't take it light as the way we see effulgent lights all through around us. No, nothing of that kind. Light here means the auric emanation, very faded one, but quite distinctive from the petals, around the petals, but distinct from that. So, what do? We deploy the same eyes, we deploy the same flower before us, but with the different attitude of the driver, commander within, we try to pierce the appearance and go beyond that. And when we go beyond that, when we spend more time, give ourselves an ease within, we align within our own self and are able to transcend. That sadhana may take you a while to transcend beyond, because it's not so that like an instant coffee or tea, you just have a glance upon the flower and within 1 minute you are able to see the aura. No, it's not like that. You have to be with the flower, you have to struggle with the accustomed, attuned, the adaptation of your eyes and the contact they establish with the flower. So you have to go beyond the adaptation. You have to go into different dimension, which is it's not charted, uncharted one. Only then you will be able to see. So then you first of all you have to remove the block of your common, general adaptation. And to break that, you have to go through a certain monotony. Some you have to slog through. That struggle is going to be there, because the more you see to the flower, nothing changes, nothing appears. At times, it appears to be very foolish on your part to look for something which is well before you and still trying to look something which is before you and yet beyond. In the rational aspect, it is pure foolishness. Yes? But the moment you're able to break through the rational of your accustomed, adapted sight, and you go into the true rational of the existence, which has got more dimensions to added to it, then all of a sudden you see with the same eyes and you get startled, astonished. What is this? I have been watching flowers since I was a child, and I have never been able to see anything of this kind. If flower can have an emanation out of it, if flower can have an aura out which is distinct from it, how is this possible? You try to see, first of all observe that there is something wrong in your eye since you have been staring towards the flower. Maybe some kind of a loss or some kind of a distortion has come into the way you are focusing your eyes. Something has happened wrong with the way you're looking. Maybe your eyes have gone a bit weird. You close your eyes, you clean your eyes, you rub your eyes, you again come back, you again restart, and then after a couple of minutes, then again the same thing surfaces and you are able to see the aura again. Again, you try to blink your eyes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it disappears. But again, the moment you stay still, remain there, and want to see beyond with true intention, that again surfaces. And you are astonished. What is this? I'm not weird. My eyes are not going wrong. They are working perfect. Nothing wrong. I've tested myself. But I have discovered a new realm, a new dimension. Has anything changed? No, nothing has changed. Eyes are the same. Flower is the same. The way you see things is the same. The way you steer upon things is the same. So nothing has changed. The way you stare, nothing has changed. What has changed? A new observation has come to you now. What? A new observation has come to you. A new observation has come to you which already existed. It's not that it has dawned for the first time or it is something which has been invented. No, nothing. It was there. It's like observing gravity. Gravity never started on the day when it was observed. Gravity existed since times unknown. So it was but discovered as gravity on that day. Likewise, in aura reading also, with starting with the flower, because I haven't gone beyond the flower, that was enough for me to understand that particular science. In the aura reading also, you observe all of a sudden something which existed. Anusmret is giving you an instruction of something of the similar kind. Although the examples from the mortal plane cannot do absolute justice to the aspects of consciousness, yet, in order to approximate the understanding of those realms, we deploy words, we try to use illustration examples from our surrounds, the mortal plane. Likewise, Anusmrit is giving an instruction to the seeker, be there, there is a fact which already exists. It is not going to take birth for the first time. There is no initiation about it. It's a fact which exists, but it has never been realized by you. That's why whenever any seeker acquires emancipation, what is the word that you say? The word that we generally use is self-realization. Realization means it was already there. Nothing changed. Has any kind of transmutation? No, no transmutation happened. Everything is the way it was. It is us who were the same but could never realize it before. It was only that we spent some time there, we stayed with that understanding, and then we were able to realize that through our observation. So Anusmrit is passing on a message, an indication that the justice to the understanding of the words shall not be done unless you understand what I mean. I mean mane Anusmrit means. So Anusmrit conveys us to stay with the understanding of these words. Only then we will be able to realize something which already existed. Since we never stayed with it, understanding, we did not spend enough time for that. That is why we have not been able to realize. All this understanding that I'm passing on to you in the capacity of a teacher is not my realization. I'm not a realized soul. I'm as ordinary as any student would be. We all are traveling in the same capacity with the same kind of inner growth, with slight difference here or there. I am talking something out of my own reading. I am conveying out of my reading. Reading of whom? Reading of the exalted ones. Those that are the realized souls. The way they mention about this subject. I may not be realized, but I am talking what those realized ones have conveyed to us. So the facts are not going to change. Facts are going to be the same. So I equally convey myself that there are things which I already know, but I have not realized them. So this Anusmrit passed on a message to me that I must stay on with this understanding so that I can realize it like the eyes and the flower. They are there, but the emanation of the flower in the form of aura has not been realized. Now let's come down to this verse in order to understand what they convey. The verse in Sanskrit conveys Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Ano Aniya Sam Anusmret Yah Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. Now the true justice will be done once we go on for the meaning. The meaning is in Hindi, yet we'll try to take the essence and translation into English as well. The first word is Kaving. Kavi, yeah, literally speaking, if you want to translate Kavi, it means a poet. Now, why has the Almighty? All these words have been conveyed about the Almighty, the existence of Almighty, the way that entity is, the way that entity exists. They have been conveyed in light of that understanding. Because the Sloka that preceded, that was the earlier one, the Slok number 8, it is going on into the journey to convey that whosoever shall recall me, shall remember me, be with me at the last moment of the life before that final departure shall come to me. Now, in the continuation of that particular understanding, this particular verse is a complement. It's an agency to complement it. I'm terming it as agency. Yes. Kavi means poet. What do we understand by poet over here? See, a poet has the capability to go beyond ordinary imagination. As a Hindi verse conveys, wherever even the sun can't approach, sun cannot reach, the light of the sun can't reach, the imagination of the poet can. So, to sum up, where we have constraints, the limitation of our imagination even to go, that means even the unimaginable aspects, imaginable and unimaginable, both in what they encompass has been termed here as Kavi, someone who is Sarvagya, omniscient, knows all, everything. Nothing is beyond its understanding, knowledge. Don't catch my words and merely stay with them for a while, because at times we try to inflate in order to approximate the essence of this sloka. So at times we bring in and rope in certain words that may not have a direct context, but they try to act as a complement. So, Kavi means Sarvagya, omniscient, knowing all. And that's how even the Brahma Rishis, the exalted ones, for them also we spell out that Brahma Rishi is the one who beholds a galactic torch. A galactic torch with the capability to be able to sight, to be able to see through anything, whenever, whatever, to whatever extents they want to sight, they can see that. They have that capacity of beholding a galactic torch. Here it is being talked about, said about, mentioned about that existence, Almighty. I'm giving it the word Almighty, which is self-encompassing. Kavi. Puranam means eternity. Times unknown. It has existed from the time unknown, shall continue to exist till the times unknown. That has been addressed as Puranam. Anushasitaram, under whose discipline. What kind of a discipline? The creation of the universe, the entire universe, the maintenance of the entire universe, then the dissolution in order to renew itself. The dissolution, we call them as Srijan, Palan, Vidvans, or Pralay. So the creation, the maintenance, and the final dissolution of the entire creation under the discipline of it sustains, moves, flows. So Anushasitaram, the one under whose discipline, under whose constitution, under whose abiding all these aspects of existence prevail. Now another word is Anu Arniyasam. This is a very important word. Anu is for the smallest particle. Anu Arniyasam. What does it mean? Smallest to the smallest particle. What relevance does it have over here? We are talking about the Almighty. Yes, we're talking about Almighty. Okay, I understand omniscient. I understand eternity. I understand under whom all these laws of existence prevail. The entire universe prevails, right? But what does this mention? Smallest, the smallest particle, tiniest. What does it wants to convey about the Almighty? Yeah, it conveys about its all pervasiveness. It talks about the enormity of the strength it beholds. How come so? Yes. What is nuclear technology? When we say something as a nuclear technology, what we mean is it is the tiniest particle, the ability of the tiniest particle. Whether it goes for creative and constructive purposes or whether for destructive purposes. Even for constructive purposes, the capacity of that infinitesimal particle, smallest atom, is huge. It's beyond comparison. Nothing else on the planet, nothing else in the material world so far, I'm talking so far, has been ever envisioned, imagined, witnessed, experimented, which beholds the power in comparison to the nuclear, whether constructive or destructive, both ways. Okay, having said so, now you said it's all pervasive. It's all pervasive. Can't you observe the times that are going these days? We have a virus which has engulfed the entire planet. Even those tribes where there is no sign of development, no electricity, they still appear to be living in Stone Age. Even there we can observe the virus has been able to penetrate somehow. So, what is it? It's all pervasive. A small infinitesimal existence, entity of existence known as a virus, even if in the entire population of the world, even if it is confined in one person, it has the capability to engulf the entire planet. Is it so or not? That's how it started. Yeah, that's how it started. So when you talk about something which is the smallest particle to the smallest one, conveys you this enormity of the strength and its all pervasive aspect. So anu anyasam, the smallest to the smallest particle. Anusmrit, that's the word, the rider word in the shlok, which we have initiated upon. Next word is Sarvasya Dhataram, beholds all. Everything exists into it. The time, the space, manifested worlds, unmanifested dimensions, they all, everything is encompassed into it. Purnamadhaya, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. Nothing beyond it. Any kind of an existence, any kind of a status, anything, whether mentioned by humans so far, mentioned in scripture so far, or maybe it is yet to be known, realized, even that aspects are encompassed within it. They are nurtured by it. Not only nurtured, they exist within it. There is nothing which is without it. Sarvasya Dhataram. Achintya Rupam. Achintya Rupam, something which you can contemplate, you can think of, and the unthinkable, beyond thinking, beyond contemplation. I can think up to that aspect. No, I have never thought about it. Okay, something you have thought about and something you have never thought about. Okay, there are two aspects. And what about where both the aspects are there? Anything which you have never thought about, it's there. And anything that you have already thought about, it's also there. Initially, when you try to give yourself understanding of this kind, the ordinary attuned brain gets slightly blurred, weird. It says, what are you trying to convey? You're moving out of the track to a path where there is no track. Yeah, truly speaking, the established tracks of understanding pertain to this mortal plane. They are limited. They are not beyond limitation. And we're trying to express the realms of the eternity, Almighty, where these tracks have got no presence. We're talking about an open aspect where there is no limit to the openness. It's infinity. So obviously, any adapted mind or an ordinary mind is going to confront some kind of a struggle in order to accept, comprehend these aspects which have never come to the understanding or come before that seeker. So, Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam. Achintya Rupam also conveys one thing else. What is that? You can think about something. Yes, I can think about something. That thing or subject or a person may be there, may be absent. Yeah, it could be there or could be absent. For example, I think about an exalted master who was there in 18th century. Yeah, he is not there anymore. Maybe in a different dimension, but not here on this mortal plane. Okay, so something that you think is either there or not there. Right. What about all encompassing? Even that which is not there is encompassed. What about that? Yeah, I have to struggle to comprehend it, but yes, I cannot deny it. Yes, you cannot deny it. That is why anusmrit comes. You have to stay with it. Now, the another word which comes, the last one is tamasa hai parastat, which says it defies all ignorance. It defies all ignorance. That's a literal meaning we can convey to these words. But here it has to acquire a different mention. Here, the sight, the same eyes, and the same flower, through the ability to sight, have to discover something new. So, here it's not confined to the ignorance, defines to ignorance. Here we have to understand what is the source of knowledge? Almighty. And the source to ignorance? Does it have another source? Think. If everything is Almighty, everything, nothing can ever exist without it, then who owes ignorance? That same source. So, where do the divine come from? That same source. And what is the source of the demonic? The moment you create a split, you create a differentiation, the understanding about Almighty will fall apart. So you have to accept it as the exalted master Mahatma Telang Swami, while having a dialogue with another exalted master, Swami Ramakrishna Paramahans, at the banks of the Ganges in Varanasi, way back in the 19th century. This question was raised by Swami Ramakrishna Paramahans before Mahatma Telang Swami. Mahatma Telang Swami was elder. Both were realized souls. There was no need for anyone to ask a question and the other to answer. But for the sake of the generations to come, something has to be prepared as a script, like we have dialogue in most of the Upanishads between a seeker and the master. Likewise, Swami Ramakrishna Paramahans, he projected a question before the master, Mahatma Telang Swami, is God one or two? And Mahatma Telang Swami, with his silence, raised his finger like this: one. The source to darkness is the same, which is the source to the light. So, effulgence or darkness, knowledge or ignorance, the source is the same. Cannot be two. The moment you say two, then you're breaking into the understanding of the Almighty, the Advait aspect of it, which is indivisible. It's indivisible. It's beyond any dismantle aspects. You cannot dismantle, you cannot degenerate it, you cannot take away anything out of it, you cannot give it anything, you cannot add anything to it, and you cannot take away anything from it. That's why we say Purnamad Purnamidam Purnat Purna Mudachyase Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Now, this kind of a hologram, understanding of a hologram, is something that takes for the intellect a while to comprehend and allow it to get seated. Allow it to get seated. Seat. Now, here comes the word seat. Allow it to get seated within our own understanding. That is why this word anusmrit comes. You cannot simply read the words of this verse. You cannot simply take the meaning of them and move onwards. That way, it will be like observing the flower. Even if your age is 90 years old, since last 90 years, we've been observing flowers. Nothing changed. Whenever a flower comes before you, yes, the only thing it adds into you is a good feel. Yes, a good feel. Good feel in the terms of fragrance, looks, good. That's the good feel you get. Anything beyond? Nothing beyond. To go beyond, you have to stay with the flower and give your ability of sight to stretch further, stretch more, and gather a new observation. Likewise, the word anusmrit says, you have understood the meaning of these words. They do not convey you something which you never knew even before. You knew that. In one or the other form, you knew this is Almighty, all encompassing, omniscient, eternal, etc., unimaginable, beyond the ambit of the intellect to encompass. Yes, all these were well known to me. But have you ever stayed with this understanding to gather a new observation? Uh, Here comes that same, the line which I started with. You know, you've been knowing it, yet it's not a realized fact. It's not a realized fact. To approximate the realization, if not true realization, to approximate the realization, you have to stay with the understanding that each and every single word bestows, which insists upon you to undergo a deeper contemplation, a deeper nidhi dhyasana, we call it. I can use the word deeper contemplation. It's not about meditation, but deeper contemplation. Deeper contemplation has to be differentiated from the meditation. Here, deeper contemplation means that you are allowing the same understanding to gather new grounds within yourself. So you have to stay with this particular words, the particular verse, the words of the verse for some more time. You have to stretch the duration, maybe 3 hours, 4 hours, and then with the reiteration of the same understanding, yeah, it may appear to be weird, foolish, all that. It doesn't matter. But if you really want to stretch, you have to break that rational aspects commonly known to us so that you can acquire a new observation. So if you're going to stay with the words and their essence for another about 3 to 4 hours, if you're able to sustain to that level, that's also equally important. So what is going to happen? You are going to come out, the moment you come out of this particular session after 3 hours, you will be having a different awareness, an awareness of a different stature, which will impress upon your total individuality in many forms, which cannot be defined and calibrated here. But yes, the realms of the consciousness, awareness, cannot always be deciphered through some data or some words. Many things happen into you which are ineffable, cannot be expressed into words. Likewise, here too, when you stay with the understanding of each and every single word for about a prolonged period of time, when you come out of it, you have a different awareness. And the great exalted masters has spent their lives with that understanding. Before that, they could realize that they were it. Now they have realized that they are it. So they were it, and they have realized they are it. That, let me use the word transition, although it is not any transition. They are it, they were it, but they have not realized it. But yet, for the sake of understanding, that transition transpired into them because they were able to stay with that understanding. And the reiteration grounded it with the term we call as pran pratishtha, which does not have an equitable word in English to convey that understanding of pran pratishtha. Let me deploy the word that giving life to an understanding. When you want to give life to an understanding, when you want to give even life to anything which is mortal, which is an object, which is inanimate, giving life to even inanimate through your own awareness, with your own beam of awareness, with your own focus and concentration, can be termed as something near pran pratishtha. So you have to give life to that understanding. Though that starts living into you, your individuality becomes a part of you, and you are able to realize what you already are. So, unless you do justice to the word anusmrit, you shall not be able to do the message of the masters of all times, Adi Guru Mudi Vedvyas, and his true divine intuit Krishna. If you want to do justice to the understanding bestowed by this verse, you have to follow the rider, Anusmrit. Stay with it. However foolish it may appear, stay with it. The same words which you have been knowing, not realized, knowing since decades, Stay with them. Allow each one of them to gather ground. The same way as we develop that ability to sight the aura of a flower. And then those masters, they transcend you from flower to humans. Well, I have never transcended, I was not able to transcend beyond that. I just can confine to flower. But that's how they actually make people practice aura reading of humans, starting with flowers, starting from a flower, then to humans. But here, let us convey with that confine to the understanding that let us give our ability to sight, pierce, and stretch towards different dimensions of observation by staying with the words of the verse, and the essence of the verse. Uh, Generally, this live classroom is conducted in every second and last Sunday of the month at 9 a.m. But today, the program was preponed on the context that the last Sunday this time, we have a Nad Anusandhan, the practice of the sadhana of primordial sound Om for about 6 hours. Hundreds of seekers are going to participate in that. So in order to create a schedule for that, the class was preponed for this day. Enough for the class. More to come in the next classroom. Om hi satya hai. Om hi satya hai. Om hi satya hai.